Sadiq Khan has doubled down on his racist housing policy that sees ordinary British people slung out on the streets in favour of migrants, principally from the Islamic world. He is now attacking 5 London boroughs for not allowing him to put migrants into their community. Do you know the reason they're doing it? They're not even against migrants. They just don't have the space. It includes the City of London, which only has a residential population of about 5,000 or 6,000, and they are principally in the Barbican Centre, for those of you that know the area. This goes through the policy, explains what has happened and why Sadiq Khan is so angry that 5 boroughs are standing firm and not allowing him to change their community and support his uncontrolled immigration agenda. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, please do consider a donation to Patriot Fund. We keep you updated every single month that I can remember in order to tell you exactly how we spend the money. It is a discretionary fund, but nonetheless, we give money to people who've been struggling. One guy, the Sussex police were attempting to destroy him. He'd been put in a mental institution for being an Islamophobe. We went out and we won the case. No compensation, no further action, no criminal record, nothing at all. I will tell you, the Sussex police were reeling after what the Patriot Fund did in order to protect one of our people. That's you, and I appreciate it. Okay, so the 5 London boroughs that are now standing firm against Sadiq Khan are the following. They are the City of London, Hackney, Lambeth, Merton and Richmond. That is a mixed bag. So as you know, the City of London is independent. Some of you think that it's an independent country. It's not an independent country. It just operates in a slightly unusual way. And I'll explain why the City of London operates in the way it does. When the Great Reform Acts came in 1832 or 1834, I think there was a series of them, they rolled out the franchise to every man over the age of 18 or 21. But either way, they rolled out the vote to every man. You no longer needed to own property in order to vote. But the City of London, with its 1 square mile, didn't adopt those proposals. The reason it didn't adopt the proposals is because it doesn't have a large residential population. And since the bombing of World War II, when most of the City of London was destroyed on the 30th of December 1940, since then, there's such a small population that actually now they still allow you to vote if you own property in the city, specifically if you own a company. And what happens is companies put together a certain number of delegates based on the number of employees they have. So residents get to vote, but I had a friend of mine who was the Common Councilman for Coleman Street, which means he's a member of the House of Commons of the City of London. And his residential population was 4. The landlord, the landlady of the pub, the vicar and his wife. So obviously, as you can imagine, you can't have an election with just 4 voters. So they have other people coming in. And why that's relevant to this debate is this. The City of London have been incapable of coming up with social housing in order to satisfy Sadiq Khan's desire. Now, there are various estimates of the number of people who get social housing who weren't born in Britain. Sadiq Khan's figure is 92% of social housing goes to people goes to British or Irish people. Right. Well, first of all, 8% doesn't, which is quite a big number, right? But anyway, so the overwhelming majority goes to British or Irish nationals. British or Irish nationals. And so what he doesn't quote is the statistic of the number of people who were born overseas. Now, that number, he, in his small print, admits is 48%, but other people say it's as high as 70%. That is to say, because I always like to simplify the mathematics, for every 10 houses given out as council houses, 7 of them go to people who've only just come to the country who were born overseas. Now, as you know, there's been a major problem. When the Sudanese all claimed asylum and went back to Sudan, before we go any further, let's just remind ourselves, what is the #1 holiday destination for people when they get granted refugee status in Britain? The country they came from. Yes, that's right. The first act that most refugees undertake is to return back to the country that they've just successfully claimed is too dangerous for them to ever visit. There you have it. But what will happen quite often in London, and this is what the Sudanese were doing, was they would get the council house, rent it out to ordinary British people, and then move back to Sudan and live off the financial benefit that they get, because obviously the council rent is very low, whereas the commercial rent is very high. The vast majority of people who rent privately in London are people who were born in the United Kingdom. And so in an unbelievable act of unfairness, what's happening is you are putting people who are refugees to this country on the property ladder by throwing British people out. Now, look, as I say, that's the case of the City of London. The City of London has it has a couple of residential wards. About a quarter of its wards are principally residential. I ran in one of them, Portsoken. For those of you who know, that's the Middlesex Street Council Estate and the Guinness Trust building, which is across the road. So it's just a couple of housing blocks. Middlesex Street, for those of you that don't know, is Petticoat Lane of Jack the Ripper fame. So the City of London are incapable of giving these homes. Now remember, if you were to build these homes in the City of London, 7 out of 10 would go to people who were not born in the UK, arguably making the housing problem worse, because not only do you displace British people, but you also encourage more people to come to the country when they know they get a free house and they can rent it out and go back to their country of origin. Then of course they're going to start doing that. But also places like Richmond. I remember I worked for Westminster City Council. Do you know what? I did have a bit of a falling out with them. I feel a bit bad about that, but I had a falling out with them over, it doesn't matter what it's over, because I just open up old wounds. But here's where I did feel sorry for Westminster City Council. Time and time again, what they used to say was that you used to be able to claim a house in the community you're from. Well, of course, what that means for you is it was intended to be where you were born, the parish you were born in. So if you present yourself as homeless in here, we will house you in Windsor. Correct. The problem is that system works on the basis of people actually coming from the UK. If you don't come from the UK, it's wherever you present yourself. Now, in the case of Hillingdon, all of the arrival terminals at Heathrow Airport are in Hillingdon. And of course, that means that they have to take in a huge number of people. But what about the worst one of them all? Poor old Westminster City Council. Victoria bus station is in Belgravia. Is it Belgravia? Yeah, it's in Belgravia. Right, so if you present yourself at Victoria Coach Station, then Westminster City Council at one stage were required to rent you a house in Belgravia. Can you imagine the Somalian family, a man with 8 children living in an £8 million house? Now, the rules have slightly changed, but he would be able to get that under right to buy, and he would be able to take that property for a large discount. So unbelievably, an £8 million asset will transfer to somebody who's Somalian, not even British. That is the great shame of what is taking place in this country right now. Merton, Hackney, nobody could accuse Hackney of being racist. It's one of the most mixed areas in the country. But Richmond, once again, look at Richmond. Poor Richmond. Well, in fact, rich Richmond. It's one of the wealthiest places, not in Britain, on the planet. And yet it is now expected to come up with a large number of houses to give to Somalian refugees, to give to Eritrean refugees, to give to the people in the Afghan resettlement programme. And of course, we come to this place where I am in Windsor. I want to say well done to a lady called Christine. She watches this, but she doesn't want her name put out. What happened here was that a group of Pakistanis took over the managing agents and tried to throw out all of the social housing tenants so they could move people in who were new to the country. Christine is a former housing officer who, in the end, the heavies knocked on the door and she had to move, but she saved every single tenant, and I'm incredibly proud to call her a friend as a result of that. But that's what's happening. It is ethnic cleansing going on. And of course, Sadiq Khan's defence is, well, London's only a third British now anyway, so what difference does it make if 2/3 of the houses don't go to British people, no British people live here anymore? Well, that is a function of ethnic cleansing in of itself, and I think that that is incredibly dangerous. I'm happy and willing to call Sadiq a racist. I'll tell you why. First of all, this housing policy is racist, but Sadiq is not a racist for this. And I'll explain why. Because he's just interested in bringing any old migrants to the country, and also he loves Islamic immigration, and Islam isn't a race. But the reason I call him a racist is because he presides over the Greater London Authority, which had its style guide, which said that no longer white families should be allowed to portray Londoners. Instead, it has to be ethnically mixed or gay people. No white families are allowed. And I think that's deeply unfair. I think that I'm not in any way colour prejudiced, which is why I make the point about people coming from the Caribbean being just as British as me. Yeah, they're black and have got a slightly different accent, but culturally they're completely British. And so, so I don't worry about race, but when you are banning one group of people because of the colour of their skin, that's when it does become unacceptable, and that's when it does become racist. Okay, thank you so much. Please donate to the Patriot Fund. As I say, we defeated Sussex Police, and we're going to defeat even more. Please donate below. Until next time, goodbye.